Okay, Joseph, Dennis Hills here. Loving the motion of it. Here would be a few of my thoughts to the equation. I'm going to start off by first from the face-on piece. To me, okay, and I'll post some pictures of the TrackMan numbers as well, it's just feeling more that the femurs be turned out more so that we could kind of articulate the hips a little bit more, okay? And then by doing that, that would keep me a little bit more on top of the golf ball. Okay, that would then help the forward compression piece. When we start looking at what happens when we turn around a more forward point or keep the lead foot more planted, is that in the backswing it gives me a greater opportunity to facilitate the turn to the hips. It'll also help me create more depth in the trail hip. Because when we start talking about removing some of the early extension, some of that again, I wouldn't say excess, but that nice extra turn, the depth in the hip, would allow ourselves a little extra time to keep the left glute on the wall as I work back down, getting into sit down. To me, when you start kind of getting that this guy is going this way, we're not forward enough soon enough, right? And I see it a lot with my gear system with better players, people who can really compress the golf ball. Compression in TrackMan would be spin loft, the difference between the angle of attack and then the dynamic loft, okay? So to me, it would be a lot of what you're doing with this change of direction, starting with the lower body, but you're missing a little bit of the backing in, right? I think the backing in from the top is very important to kind of keep us in our pelvis back. So as I'm sitting back here, I'm kind of leaning more into the shot, right? Leaning more into the shot. I'm moving into the lead side as I'm approaching the top, which would be a very similar transition piece with pitchers getting into their stretch, right? They're kind of backing into it. I don't really feel backing into it, okay? I see you moving a little bit too much into the trail side. You get some lateral push with the lower body, but the head kind of stays back and there's a lot of churn, okay? I think you're missing some of the backing in piece, and I think you're just moving the center of the pelvis too far away from target, what would be sway. I would say that turning your feet out would help this guy reduce the amount of inward that he would have, okay? The feeling of a towel or a paper towel on the ground, and we're trying to tear this guy this way, is something that I'm trying to feel in the foot. You can see that my femur does move internal, that my knee does kick in a little bit, but he doesn't go in hard, which then makes it easier for me as I'm getting near the top of the backswing to kind of back into it a little bit. And you can see as I back into it, I'm leading with the lower body. My lead shoulder gets forward, but you can start to see that the distance between my left shoulder and left hip starts to shrink, so there's a little bit of trail side crunch, right? This way. So now when I'd go to hit this guy, I'd be able to create a little missile, okay? That way, which is always going to be powerful, okay, in drawing, okay? So as I do that, and the reason why is that is, one, I get my handle way more forward, so I can increase or decrease my spin loft, which increases compression, okay? And then I can move the bottom of my arc more forward, which then creates a greater opportunity for me to hit really strong and powerful push draws. So that's kind of one of the things that I would like to see from you, is reducing this guy by turning the foot out a little bit more, keeping a lot of what we've done because it's really nice, but just feeling that we're going to have to kind of drift kind of back into this golf ball a little bit more so that we can get just a little bit more in terms of that missile, right? Because I can hit some missiles this way where I'm super shallow. I create a lot of forward shaft lean. I take all the spin off the golf ball when I have to, and I can hit these medium high, super flat shots that just carry forever. I would say that those are some of the pieces that I'd love for you to include in your golf swing.